Alright guys, welcome to Motivation to Change podcast. My name is Sean McNulty and this is the very first episode of the podcast, and today's guest we have a magician. He's a close-up magician, he's also a stage magician. He's worked in weddings, corporate events, he's had his own show at the Fringe as well, and he is also the Director of Talent Relations of Impossible Entertainment. Please welcome Stephen Blair.
And the crowd goes absolutely wild.
I know. Hello. I should have got a wee applause cue, like a wee cartoon clap.
It's all right. I think my one-man clap is probably the biggest clap I've ever had in my career.
Oh, right. That's good.
Fulfilled my ego a wee bit.
Yeah, interesting. So, how's things?
Not bad. Not bad. Been better, been worse, you know.
How's post-lockdown treating you?
I'm at a point where I want a second lockdown because I'm just busy again and my body's got used to it again yet.
I know it's. I think it happens to us all. It's trying to walk again. But what we'll do is we'll just go back to the start. We'll talk a bit about yourself, how you get into magic, stuff like your upbringing, and we'll take it from there.
Sounds fun. It'll either sound really good or you'll be disappointed and be like, oh, is that it? It's quite boring. No. I find anything interesting, especially people's stories, because you don't know what to expect. I'm sure there'll be some surprises that come up.
Yes, I hope so. So, where were you born, and how was your kind of upbringing and stuff, and how did you get into magic?
So, according to my mum, I was born in a field with a gate left open, because that seems to be a phrase that she says quite a lot. But from a legal point of view, on paper, I was born in Irvine Central. I've lived in Kilmarnock since I was pretty much born. So I've lived in Kilmarnock pretty much all my life, apart from a wee spell in Ayr. And it was all right as a kid. Like, it wasn't great, but it wasn't absolutely terrible. Like, I went to school, I got qualifications, I done all right, kind of educational, and then I decided to become a magician, and it was all downhill for there.
A steep climb up, and then it just went.
I had so much potential. I peaked too soon.
And so I'm guessing you had the usual magic set and as a wee boy, and did that get you interested?
Aye, so my mum got me a magic set for my Christmas when I was about 5, and I got into the tricks that were in that set, but I learned them all, and I could do them kind of average. So I thought I had completed magic by learning everything in this set, and I was kind of, when I must have been about, that age where you start to go, toys are not cool anymore, and you're like, I'm too cool for toys, says the 28-year-old man who in the background has action figures. But like, I got to that age and I kind of thought, magic's just a toy, it's not cool, and I kind of stepped away for maybe 2-3 years.
Right. And so with what obviously starting off doing what your wee magic set, and kind of having a slight interest in magic, I'm guessing you were probably at like school, and then kind of peak camped again of liking magic. I'm guessing you never got a second magic set. So how did that kind of reignite?
So I remember watching a program called The Convention Crasher, which it was basically a program on Channel 4 where Justin Lee Collins would learn skills and try and win competitions with these skills. So one week I went to clowning school to try and win at a clown convention. Another week was ventriloquism. And 1 week that I watched was the magic. And I remember watching it and kind of going, these are kind of adults doing magic. And the stuff they're doing is pretty cool. Like, it's not just like wee boys playing with toys. This is adults doing cool stuff. So kind of from there, I took to the YouTubes, and started kind of looking a wee bit into magic, but there wasn't much there. And then when I was in first year, my brother, who was 2.5 years older than us, he had a friend who could do a couple of good magic tricks, and he showed me a couple of cool magic tricks. And like, even though this boy was 2.5 years older, when somebody's 2.5 years older than you at school, they're an adult, right? So I remember thinking, this guy's cool. He showed me a trick. It was amazing. And then I just really got into it again and kind of submerged myself in learning new tricks and like just watching different performances and trying to learn as much as I could.
Amazing. And at that point, was it just like a hobby, just for something to do, or did you have an idea of, like, oh, this could be something I could do as an actual job or a career? What was your kind of thoughts?
There's been throughout my career that I've had now, there's been various kind of goals and things that I wanted to do, and it changes quite regular. Like, so when I first started out, I was like, I'm going to have a Vegas show and I'm going to be on the telly. And, you know, like when you get into something, you have big dreams and big hopes. And then more I got into it, more I started learning more about the business and doing gigs and stuff, more I realised that I don't want that. So at the time, yeah, I wanted a big show in Hollywood, like in Las Vegas, and I wanted a TV show and all that. But I slowly learned that I'm not going to get that, and I accepted it.
Oh well, and because I've done it in my first before my age, I wanted to be a wrestler, and I was like, I want to be in WWE and bloody all that kind of stuff. And you do get big dreams, but I just started doing like the magic and started learning about it. What was the leap to just kind of doing, like, learning it and maybe showing friends and family to having like your first gig?
So I've always been one of the kind of in your face magicians. Like, people say, like, you'll know yourself, Sean, when somebody meets a magician, they've always got a story about this guy who just didn't know when to stop, and that was me. I would learn a trick. I'd be like, "Mom, can I show you a trick?" And she's like, "Cooking the dinner," and I'm like, "No, watch." So I was always like that. I'm still a wee bit kind of like that.
I'm still like that.
But I always had this image in myself being like this well-known magician, whether it was because of the telly or if it was because I was going to have a Vegas show. So I always tried to like force magic on people and show them what I was doing. It was also kind of really good because when I was at school, I got a bit of a hard time, and when I was performing tricks to people, I was cool like for 10 minutes because I could make a card vanish from a deck of cards, or I could change a 10 pence in their hand into a 2 pence or whatever. And like that kind of helped me learn, okay, people kind of like this stuff. So I just kept doing it, tried to get the attention away from the hard time people were giving me to become more kind of just be their pal for a short period of time.
Yeah, no, and I think what a lot of as a lot of magicians, they have that. They're not at the start socially equipped, and you get
Definitely.
into magic to like chat, get girls' numbers or try and get people's best friends and stuff like that, and you want to try and be popular a wee bit.
Yeah, that's definitely what I was trying to do, kind of at the time, because I never had many friends growing up. Like a lot of my friends that I'm really close with, I've known for less than 5 years. So a lot of that kind of when I was younger, it was like trying to buy people's like validation and people to like me.
Yeah, no, definitely. So getting into magic, how was the transition from like trying to show everybody tricks to then getting like paid or getting booked and have to wait, I need to have a certain amount of tricks that I'm going to do and whatever else, and actually going to this gig to perform? How was that process for you?
So when I was at school, I was always going, I'm out gigging. I'm performing. I'm getting paid to do this when I wasn't. Because that was me trying to show off and be like, I'm cool. Like, how dare you say I'm not? And kind of try and noise me up constant. So my very first gig was a wedding, which it was for like a family friend or like their neighbour's nephew or something like that. And I got paid £50 to do my first wedding. Now at the time, I was like, I'm going to go in, I'm going to smash this. I'm going to be the best magician there is. And then I remember I approached my first group. So for those listening that don't know what we do, our job is to mingle with guests and basically approach groups, introduce ourselves, perform a little bit of magic for the group, maybe 5-10 minutes, and then go to the next group and kind of work your way around the room till everybody saw a little bit of magic. So my first group I approached, I was like, "Excuse me, hi, my name's Stephen. I'm a magician. Can I show you something?" And straight away they went, "No, it's all right. We'll just sit and have a drink." And the words that came out my mouth was, "It's for you," like in that kind of tone and kind of. And then they're like, "No, you're all right, son. On you go." And I'm like, "Cheers." And I remember walking away going, "This is good. This is going to be a nightmare." And then I was like, "Right, okay." Now, kind of looking back, I understand why that never worked, because they had just came into the room, so that they had just left the ceremony and had just came into the bar area, and I don't actually think they had sat down properly. I think people were still taking their jackets off, so I quickly realised at that point that right, I need to wait, and I waited about 10-15 minutes, and then I approached my next group, and I think I don't have a horror story about the second group, so it must have went not bad.
It must have worked.
I definitely.
And I think I've said that like doing your first gig or like you approaching your first set of strangers, like even for them doing it the first time is nerve wracking and nervous. I remember I went right straight to the toilet because I seen the door and like they were here, the toilet was about here, and I just went. But I managed to go back to the table and that, and I remember the first trick I tried to do was the famous ambitious card where the card jumps to the top and it just didn't work. And but and then I just scrapped it, showing all these simple trick, and that was it. But I think like doing it the first time you do get nervous, and I'm guessing over time that kind of you started getting a bit confident. I've won them
Yes.
over.
So as always, like even now, like I've done thousands of gigs. I've approached thousands and thousands of groups, and even now, I sometimes kind of need to take a minute sometimes and go, right, let's go, let's approach this group. I'm very much, I'll look at a group and go, I'm going to that guy, and I'll just go right, and I'll walk straight over, and I don't let anything kind of interrupt me, because if it does, then I go, maybe I will not. So it's like anything in life, you have your tool and you sharpen it and you get better, but there's still going to be flaws. So sometimes, as I said, I do worry about approaching the group, but now I've kind of got the experience where I can go, that group, it's not going to work right now. I'll go in 10 minutes, or I'll give them an extra 5, or I need to go now.
Yeah, no, definitely. And it's good kind of advice that anybody starting out, you're going to make mistakes and you're going to be real nervous, and even when you start doing it, you're still going to be nervous. It's just a matter of just having something to kind of, it's like having an anchor, so that you can actually kind of continue to do it.
Yeah, definitely.
So, doing your kind of first couple of gigs, were you left school at this point?
So I done my first ever performance was, I was about 14, 15. I also entered the school talent show with an act that in my mind was amazing, but everything went wrong. I've got a video of it. I'll send it, Sean. It's absolutely dire. But yeah, so I done my first gig. I was still at school, and after school I went to college to study computing, because I was like, I'm going to get a real job and I'm going to learn to fix computers, and I wanted to be a computer fixer person. And I studied ICT service management and network infrastructure, which basically means your Wi-Fi is not working, come to me and I'll fix it.
Very posh name for it.
It's posher. It sounds posher than it actually is. It's basically, the IT guys that just live in their mum's basement. It was that.
And so was that something that you were all interested in doing, kind of computing stuff, or was it just like, I've kind of done it a lot, I need to go to college, right, that looks good, I'll just do that, or did you have like, I actually want to do this?
A bit of both. Like, I never liked subjects that had a lot of kind of theory behind them, so I was never good at English or maths or anything that involves a lot of kind of thinking. I've always been a very hands-on person, so like the subjects I was good at was computing, craft and design. They were the two kind of main ones. I was also good at French, which kind of just contradicts what I said, but they were like the three subjects that I was quite good at, and I done really well in computing, so I thought, like I could start my own computer repair shop. That was kind of the idea. So I went to college. Obviously, still in the back of my mind, I was like, I'm going to be Las Vegas, his very own Stephen Blair. So I went to college and studied the kind of computing side. It was interesting, and I think I've done all right.
Good. And when you got to the point of being at college, and then doing your kind of gigs as well, what were there a transition of, like, were you doing more with the magic, and that kind of took you there, or was it just, did you just want to do it as a part-time job, or did it just kind of happen just by itself?
It's a bit of everything. So obviously a lot of my time was taken up with my classes at college and whatnot, but kind of in my spare time I was always trying to get a gig. My first kind of decent gig came about because I sent a very good email. I still look at the email sometimes, to a client who I still work with now. In fact, I've got a couple of gigs booked in with them, and I've recently done gigs since lockdown. So I sent them a really confident sounding email to try and get a gig, and it was a nightclub where I was booked to perform from 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. Now, I don't know if you've ever been to a nightclub, Sean, but people go to a nightclub for three things. One, to get really drunk and forget the horrible week they've had. Two, try and find someone to have a good time with. Or three, get drunk and have a good time with somebody. So, as you can imagine, a man in a nightclub getting a lot of female attention, automatically it's hostile. And guys were looking at me going, who is this wee boy? Why is he getting all the attention? And I'm standing there doing card tricks. So I had to quickly learn how to take the card tricks and make the man look good to try and help him pull. So I was like, what I'd like to say was a professional wingman, where I was doing tricks, but making him look good. I'm like, he's amazing. He made that card change. And I've done all the hard work and got no credit for it.
I've been in a nightclub, and I've not actually done a gig at a nightclub yet, but I think it was a bit of a surreal experience. It's like, and I'd probably put it as like an evening wedding reception, like on steroids.
Oh, so it's definitely like it's different. You've got to be very quick. I think that's why a lot of the magic I do is quick, because people don't have the attention span in a nightclub to concentrate and remember the 26th card from the top, like, or count down 15 cards. So everything's got to be quick and snappy, and people there's a lot happening round about them. And as a young, I'm not going to say I was underage, right? But I was 16. As a younger person who hadn't been exposed to this kind of world before, and having to do a gig in there and get attention, it was quite daunting, but I think I've done all right because they still book me. So
you must have been doing something right. And I think in a way I would have probably been good, especially at the start of doing something quite hard, such as a nightclub, and then like doing something maybe like just a wedding reception, and nobody's that drunk, and it's not as hostile, and it's quite a happy time, so it'll probably be a bit more easier. So I think it probably would be a good experience.
it definitely was. It was like I learned so much from that, because, as I said, I learned that I had to work quick. I learned how to get people involved and make them look good. So it kind of took the attention that I was craving away from me, but at the same time gave me more attention.
So I don't know if you'd say, is it a win-win?
Is that oxymoron?
Right, so you're 16, you're at college, getting the kind of gigs in and stuff like that, and then it gets to a point where you kind of start to actually look for work. How did things go around with like actually not just kind of at college, but actually looking for an actual job and some income, but at the same time doing the magic?
So I was quite lucky. So I left college and went straight into a job, working in customer service. I had no idea what the job was. I applied for it, I got it, and I was, I think I was like maybe 3 weeks older than 16 or something like that, because I basically left school straight away. So I actually technically left school before I was legally allowed to, because the school said you have to sit all your exams. I had my modern studies exam on the Wednesday or the Friday or whatever, and I had my form. So we had to get a leavers form signed, where you had to get every teacher that you had to sign this form off. And I had one more to go, and it was my music teacher. Sorry, who wasn't my music teacher? He was a music teacher, but he was my guidance teacher, in head of year. And he knew that I hated school, because me and him had run-ins and stuff. So I went up to him and I was like, "You're not meant to sign this." I went, "Give me it." Signed it anyway. There you go. So I went and handed this form in, and reception were like, "Oh, is that you leaving? Have you done all your exams?" I had 2 modern studies exams to do, because you'd done your general and your credit exams. I was like, aye, I've done them. And she's like, all right, well, nice knowing you. And then I turned around and basically went into the school and she's like, where are you going? I'm like, oh, I've got 2 exams, they sit. So I left school and then pretty much straight away went into a job in customer service. As I said, I had no idea what it was. I applied for it. I knew a couple of people that had worked for the place, and I was like, they said it was all right. So I applied for it, got the job. And from there, I kind of worked, but I was always focusing on the gigs.
Was that I'm guessing it is the same place we first properly met?
Well, we had met before that, but yeah.
Yeah. I'll probably follow over there on that.
We'll keep the name out.
I will copyright that just in case we'll get slaughtered. But this was 2012. What age would you have been?
What year's this? So
about 9 years ago?
Nearly 10 years ago, so I would have been about 18.
Right. And that's when I first kind of got into magic and stuff, like watching Dynamo and whatever else. I remember, I can't remember, but I found you on Facebook or something like that, and like, if you kind of get into something and you don't know how you've got any clue about it, you just, I don't know if anybody else does, but I just thought, I'll just reach out and that's how I first kind of actually spoke to you, and then it was a wee while later, and then I don't know if we first met. I think we did. I think our first meeting was at that work because I got a job at it.
That's not right. So it actually came up on Facebook about 3 days ago. So we had been talking on Facebook kind of about magic, but we then went to the wrestling where we met Ted DiBiase.
Oh, aye.
And then we met at work. So we had met.
Right, okay.
Through the wrestling.
I was going to say, I was like, was it? I think it was, because I remember what we met a couple of times during wrestling. Kinda.
So for those that are listening, obviously Sean got into magic and started to get an interest, and he had saw me somehow, whether it was through marketing or whatever, and then turned out we both liked wrestling, and this will kind of come into the motivation to change stuff where when I take time off, I like to do things that I enjoy. So one of the things is go to wrestling shows. And Sean was, I think I'd mentioned it because I think I found out that you like wrestling or something. I mentioned it, and I always go places myself because like I don't like trying to make plans with people. See, if you've got a group of 6 people, you can guarantee 2 will drop out, 1 will kind of go and whatnot. 1 will be well up for it, and then so you've always got this worry that the 6 of you is planning something. Who's going to turn up? I can't be bothered with that. So a lot of the time, I'll go myself, and I had went to the wrestling myself and met Sean, and that's kind of how we got to know each other. But then after that, Sean started working at the same place I was working.
Yes.
I was still doing my gigs and constantly fighting with my work to get time off because my gigs were more important than my work, which is not a great mentality to have.
Yeah. Well, it depends on. Well, I think it depends how your mentality on with, for example, yourself doing the magic. If it was something you were really wanting to do, as a career and actually have that outshine your work, I think it also depends on the individual. But how was that like, kind of overcoming that?
So it was really difficult. Like there was times when I had took bookings where I was physically unable to get my shifts moved because they needed the resources and they needed someone in on that date, and that someone happened to be me. I'd ask around work and stuff, and there was even a time that I paid somebody 30 quid to do my shift. So I said to him, if you do my shift, I'll give you 30 quid as well. So he got his wages and £30 more for doing my shift.
And
I think I've got like a a drive to do as much as I can, because even kind of during lockdown, I was still trying to do things to keep myself busy, because I don't think I don't sit down. Like even during lockdown, there wasn't much happening in terms of performance and that, but I was out every day, out walking miles, working out, just constantly doing things. And I think, I don't know, I might have some form of ADHD or something.
So with doing the gigs and working, I know personally and just seeing you on Facebook and stuff that you worked constantly. Like I don't think you barely slept, and you were just you were doing everything. You weren't just working and then just sitting about. You were constantly doing everything. I remember like working in the same, but you were that was a lot. I was just doing that, and you were saying, "Oh, I'm doing magic, and then I'm doing this, and I'm doing that." And how did you manage to tackle
Honestly, I have no idea. So, like, there was between kind of ages 16 and kind of what 20, 21. I worked a lot. Like, I always say, if I never had a compulsive spending habit of just buying shit, I'd be loaded. Like the amount of work that I'd done, but I'd waste my money because I like to go out places. I like to go nice places, and I'd always be going to shows on my time off. So, um, like it was up until then, and then I met someone, met a girl, and kind of things feathered out from there, and I kind of decided to invest my energy into the relationship rather than into my working business.
and did you like with that same I'm guessing the mindset of just kind of just constantly working that was that the same thing when you kind of moved into having an actual relationship?
Aye, so a lot of the kind of energy that I was putting into work, I decided to put onto that. And I don't want to say I neglected my work, but I felt there wasn't as much passion in my wanting to go out and gig as much because I wanted to sit on the couch and eat sweeties and watch a film, like these relationshipy things that you do.
And it's it is hard, like especially when you're used to doing something like, for example, yourself, like you're doing magic, you're working, you're doing ABC, and then you're kind of doing some socialising. Um, but then kind of having another half
Mm-hmm.
where you need to put that time into. Was that difficult at the start, or was it just kind of did it kind of work itself?
It felt easy at the start because it was like, right, I'll just do magic. And then I think the relationship happened when it was a bit quieter, kind of on the gig front. So um it started in February. Now, as a magician, there's not a lot of work at the start of the year because all the Christmas parties, everybody's blew their budget. There's not as many weddings because people don't want to be freezing at their wedding, standing outside when it's snowing. So it was kind of not as much, but as things picked up again, this was quite a busy year for me because I had agreed to do the Edinburgh Fringe. I had took on more bookings than any other year. So kind of finding the work-life balance was really difficult. And I think that was probably because obviously I had the work-life, the kind of work, the magic side, and then I had to maintain this social life as well. I had never done that. As I said, I had never really had many kind of friends up to that point. And there was never people relying on me to be there, so it was always quite independent. And then suddenly I had someone else that I had to accommodate for, which I don't think at that point I was ready for.
Right, yeah, and I think having like a serious relationship, especially when you're like your first one, it can kind of change everything because you're so used to doing things your way, or just like you've not got any other kind of priorities or whatever, and then you've kind of got another half that you do other things with and stuff like that. How long was it you were in the relationship for?
So it was 14 months now. It was quite like I always thought, kind of when I was that age, you met someone, you moved in with them, you got married, you had 2.3 kids, a car, and a house, right? And that's what I thought people's expectation of life was. As soon as you meet somebody, you. So I moved in really quick, and like it just things moved too quick, I think, and I think both of us at the points we were in our lives weren't kind of ready for that. But I think there was a lot of right. This is it. This is what we've got. Like there was a lot of acceptance. So real, honestly, I think the relationship should have ended about 6 months before it did.
Right.
And that's probably a lot on my part. Just kind of trying to balance the workload and try and maintain the life, plus not being in a good place mentally either, because I had put a lot of pressure on myself with this relationship. So I think it was 14 months, but it should have been a lot less.
Right. And when the relationship ended, how was that mentally? What was it like? You've kind of had this being on your own, and then having another half, and then that not working out maybe the way you hoped. Did that kind of was that mentally kind of a challenge for you?
Yeah, so especially the way it ended, I'm not going to get into that because it's nobody's business, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
You never know who's listening to this.
Yeah, no.
And but it felt like it was terrible. I say it's the worst thing and the best thing to ever happen to me because I felt that I had nothing to offer her. So I felt kind of so low, and I was like, I need to kind of do something. So I can't remember the exact words that she said, but it was something along the lines of you're chasing a dream that will never happen, or you're doing this magic. There's nothing in it for you. So I looked at that as I'm going to prove you wrong. And kind of in spite, but also to try and win her back, I worked my arse off even harder than before. You know, like it got to a point where I had to physically stay in Glasgow to try and accommodate for what I was doing. So I was maybe working during the day. I was doing a gig at night. I was then working early the next day. There was nights where I'd done three gigs in one night. Now, I don't want it to sound like I'm earning big bucks. Like a lot of these were freebies, but I was constantly doing gigs where I wanted to kind of go, look at what I'm doing. So it was all over social media. It was like, look at me, look, I'm here, I'm doing this, I'm mingling with these celebrities. But what people don't know is a lot of it was quite low paying gigs. So it was rough, and it was to mainly prove a point because I feel a lot of my career's been to prove a point. I had careers advisors say you'll never make it in magic. I met him a couple of years ago, and he was like, "Wow, you're doing really well." I saw you on Facebook and stuff. I'm like, "You're my teacher looking me up on Facebook. That's weird." I've had her kind of say you're doing quite well. So yeah, it was really hard kind of when the breakup happened, but it motivated me. It gave me kind of the motivation to change. You like that done there?
I liked it. I liked it. And that's kind of one of the main points I want to try and get across when doing these interviews is in life, like there's challenges that happen, and there's a point where you have to make a change
Mm.
to be better. And I think it's just there's no other way around it. Is it's either you change for the better or the worst.
Yeah.
Um, and when after the relationships and stuff, did you keep up that hard work, or did you realise that it was going to burn you out?
So I burnt out like hard. So the thing with being a magician is you get so much like attention and people love you for 3 minutes. You then leave that gig and you're just Stephen. Like you're walking, like you're in a gig, you're a superstar, everybody loves you, you're getting standing ovations. You then leave that gig to go home and you're sat on a train by yourself where nobody knows you. And it's like it's a weird kind of buzz that you get as well. It's not just happiness. Like it's a weird adrenaline rush. There's endorphins and stuff that happens from people giving you the reaction and you performing because you put so much energy in. And there's no gradual come down. Like it will switch off straight away and you just feel like shit basically. And it was tough because I was going through this roller coaster, like every night where I was having such a great time, and then I was going home to a hotel room with my KFC bucket. It was difficult, but I kept up, and then I crashed really bad, and I crashed. I went to work in Torremolinos with a magician at a place called the Chamber of Secrets, and that week, because I was away from my life at home, it brought me down and it crashed me a lot, and it kind of made me feel really low as well. Like I enjoyed the magic kind of side of it that we were doing out there, but it made me just feel like really low because I was in a foreign country, never knew anyone, and I was myself.
And with that and with that much pressure, what doing magic and stuff like that, and then having these kind of, because sometimes like, the way I look at magic is it's an escape.
Yeah,
They 2 hours you don't think about it, like you could have had the worst day ever and you did 2 hours and it's like a release and then you have to go back to your own life. Um, did you feel like your mental health was kind of taking its toll? Like, did you start to feel like either stressed or to the point of depression?
definitely. So I think kind of when I started that relationship, I was burning out really bad. And then that's why I was kind of quite open to not doing as many gigs and focusing my kind of energy elsewhere. And then when that ended, I think that kind of pushed me a bit further, probably quicker than it would have if that never happened. And I just felt so low and just absolute horrible. And like people turn to drink or kind of drugs in difficult times, and I turned to get my buzz from attention and people validation and stuff like that. And also ate a lot. Like I ate like I remember there was a day where I'm absolutely disgusted by myself, but uh, at 10 o'clock I walked into a roll shop and ordered chips and cheese. I ate the chips and cheese, and then at 11:30, I went round the corner and went to a kebab shop and ate a kebab at 11:30 in the morning. And I had a gig in the evening. I went to a kind of taco takeaway place called Taco Mamza, I think it's called. And then on my way home, I had a KFC. So I absolutely disgusted myself that day. But that was kind of my way of coping, was like comfort eating, like even between the meals, I was eating like chocolate and stuff. And
Yeah,
I got fat.
I I think it is like when you're in a bad situation and you're trying to deal with it, there is a lot of sometimes like people do have good things like going to the gym or doing things like for example doing the magic and stuff like that, but at the same time they might have a balance of eating constantly or just no getting out of bed or drinking or taking drugs and just doing anything. so it can be quite kind of challenging. Were there a point where things started to kind of brighten up a wee bit for you?
Yeah, so it's a bit of a weird one. So I remember I was feeling like horrid at the time, and I remember kind of there's a busy road in Glasgow where it's basically all the junctions meet to go into the motorway. And I remember crossing the road, and this guy was clearly in a rush because I think it was like rush hour, and there was no way he was going to make the stop at a red light. He was going to jump the red light to get onto the motorway to try and batter home as quick as he could. I remember just going, hit me, on you go. I remember slowing down and going, just hit me, I don't care. And then what's really weird is like somebody just pushed me and went, "You all right?" And I'm like, I don't know what happened there, but it was like, who are you? Why have you just pushed me out of the way? Like, why do you care? Like, you don't know me. And then it was kind of like, hold on a minute. Maybe you do. And you're somebody I don't know. So it was kind of, I don't want to say it was like a suicide attempt because that's like way beyond what like happened there. It was more of a kind of realization moment where things just kind of piled up and went, right. It was as if a bubble popped. Like, honestly, like I can't describe it. It was like a wee bubble and all the stress and everything that I had was kind of gone.
Yeah, it's it's hard sometimes when you're everyone's piled up and that, and you do get to like that point. Sometimes even worse. But I think life is got its own way of just having something there.
And balancing itself, yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's our choice as well to either take it or not take it, and possibly if you don't take it, then things might get worse. Um, so I and kind of going just before I move on to the next kind of thing. Um, did you when you started kind of realizing that you were burnt out and you were starting to do things like I know you're into fitness and stuff like that, was that around about that time, or was that just kind of
Kinda, yeah. So um I got into the gym because a guy that I knew who had said, I could outrun you in a race. I went, no, you can't. And he's like, I could also outlift you. I was like, no, you can't, because he never looked in great shape. So I was like, I'll come to the gym with you. So I signed up for the gym as a joke, and then I realised I enjoyed it. And kind of when I started exercising, I started to feel better. I then kind of at the same time started going to wrestling shows and meeting people, because it's always the same people that go. I would kind of talk to people, and like some of them have became like my closest pals now. And I talk to them like nearly every day and whatnot. So like kind of through that transition, like from kind of what happened with the van or what the bus or whatever to that, like it was pretty much kind of all about the same time where I started to realize, okay, people do like me. And then I remember people always like being a magician, people always say, show me a trick. And people would say that, but I would be like, no, because I was burnt out from doing magic. This was my time off, so I would refuse to do magic. And I realized people like Stephen, not the magic Stephen, who's doing these cool tricks.
yeah. Well, I know personally, like when at work and stuff like that, and never seen you do any magic. And it was quite weird because like I need to try and kind of I'm not as bad as what I used to be, but I used to try and go, oh, I'll show this trick and whatever else. But I think you even burn yourself out if you're constantly doing that every day.
Yeah.
And you want to kind of have that as, I think in a way it's like, even with magic or whatever it is, it's a passion, it's something that you want to do, it's something you love, but at the same time, it's like a job or a career And then outside that, you've got your kind of personal life, which
Yeah.
is usually yourself.
Yeah, and I think because I got burnt out with magic, I would do magic as little as I could. Unless I was being paid to physically be there, I'd stop doing it. And as I said, it made people like me. So it kind of helped me build relationships, start to know people, and make friends. And as I said earlier, like these guys, I've only known less than 5 years, but like they're my best friends and stuff. So yeah, it was good to decide not to do magic. That's some advice for magicians watching. Don't do magic and have a life.
You need to have a life, or it's you get wrapped up in it too much. You think everyone's a trick.
Yeah, like I had submerged myself with magic and I just got fed up. It's like people go through phases where they stop watching as much football and then suddenly they're back into it. It was kind of just like that. And I think it's always good to have lots of interests, like now, kind of after that, I've moved on to kind of like I've got different interests where, at the minute, I'm quite into filmmaking and videography. But in a couple of weeks' time, I'll maybe go back to watching more wrestling or I'll maybe go back to working on more magic. And it's always good to have different things because then you don't burn yourself out.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Last couple of months I've been right kind of way I think just with gigs and all that. I've been quite heavily in the magic and stuff, but I'm trying to kind of come off that. The last kind of week or two, I've went back into watching wrestling, and probably yourself and anybody else. It's what September now. May know why, but you kind of burned out doing the same thing everywhere else, and it's good to kind of either do something different or um, visit something else that you used to really enjoy everywhere else. But what I want to get into now is how did Impossible Entertainment start?
So when I was doing all these gigs, I was booking a lot of acts because there was work coming in that I could not physically do. So I had booked 38 comedians, 24 magicians, and 12 burlesque dancers and 6 singers or something like that over the course of a 8-month block. So I then I was like, right, I'm always like, I'll happily help someone out. See if they say to me, do you know someone who can do XYZ? More than likely, I'll know someone who can. And it became a joke between friends and family and stuff. You know everyone. And like, I've been in some really weird places and folk are like, all right, Stephen. And folk are like, what else this happened? So it was a bit of a joke. And then me and a friend kind of got talking. She's a variety artist who does fire eating and still walking. And I was like, I'll get you that gig. And it just kind of became a bit of a joke. And she was like, you should maybe start an agency with the amount that you do. And that's kind of how it came about. The name was just, somebody went, that's impossible. I went, Impossible Entertainment. Like it was just really weird. I'd spent weeks trying to come up with a creative name. And then somebody just went Impossible Entertainment. I'm like, surely someone's got that. But apparently not.
I know it's one of the kind of it's one of the where you look at it and you think it's somebody's must have thought of that by now, but and you started this just before lockdown, was it?
Aye, so me being me, things don't always go according to plan. I had big plans for Impossible Entertainment. I launched it at the last weekend in February. Sean will understand how I know that date. There's basically a big magic thing on that, and I remember it was the magic weekend. And then 3 weeks later, a global pandemic happens, and all the gigs that I've had are not allowed to happen. and I'm not allowed to get all this extra work that I was planning on taking on through my agency. So, just before lockdown, I decided to launch an entertainment company.
I know, at the very worst time as well. And that must have been, like, you've said the amount of hard work you've done, you're constantly working, doing the magic and stuff like that, and then you're going to do impossible entertainment, and then we're in lockdown and we're sitting in our pajamas every day. How how did that feel?
Like, honestly, like when they announced lockdown, obviously we had an expectation it was going to be like 3 weeks at most, and I was loving it. I was like, time off 3 weeks to do nothing, amazing. As I kind of said earlier, it started and I got really into fitness. Like, I was working out every day because I don't get the time to do that. I was going like 12-mile walks, like, and I was really getting into it because I never had to worry about being home. Like, I was at home more, like, over the past, like, in the first 3 weeks, I was at home more than I had been at home in the past, 5-10 years. So it was really, like, I enjoyed it personally, like, and I think I needed it to kind of give me a break, to let me reset and kind of get back to kind of be level-headed and stuff.
Yeah, it's been a weird time, just and I know with especially with magicians and stuff like that everybody started doing quiz nights and stuff like that, and I was a part of it on a Friday night. Me and my friends and whatever else would do every week and whatever else, and that was good. But um, there was quite a lot of magicians who decided to do virtual shows. I'd done a few. It was kind of like it was good, but I think it was just a weird kind of thing as well. But I know that you never done it.
I
What
knew
was the
you were going to
reason?
bring this up.
Had to.
So everybody started doing virtual shows, and like, and I deliberately said no because, like, to me and Sean are talking through Zoom, and we kind of know each other. But this like, at the start of lockdown, me and Sean having a talk on Zoom would have been weird to me because it's not natural. Like, there's like weird breaks in the conversation, and like, you're always like, people talk over each other when they're on Zoom, and like, you're also in your you're in I'm in my mum's spare bedroom, right? And like, me doing a magic show in my mum's spare bedroom, that's weird to me. Like, people had built theatres in the spare room, which, like, I've got nothing against Zoom shows. There is a market for it, and there's people that are doing it great. One of my best friends absolutely smashed it. But I just never wanted to do it because it just felt that there was no connection. And I quite like the kind of connection and the banter and the entertainment. And to be honest, I just decided not to do them. I've not done one. I don't plan on doing them, but as I said, there's a market, and if you want to book a book a virtual show, get in touch with Impossible Entertainment, and we can point you in the right direction.
Not yourself, but Impossible Entertainment. um, so I've just got a couple of more things, and then we'll wrap this up. What's next for yourself? Hopefully we'll not be in lockdown anymore. I heard the day that you need to have a passport to get into a nightclub.
I don't know what's next. That's the thing. Like, obviously, the last year has been a big surprise. You know, I never expected that. What is next is, after this, I am going for something to eat and then going to my bed because even though things are a wee bit back to normal, I still have a bedtime routine which I've not had for my entire life. up until about a year ago. So it kind of, I just want to kind of grow in possible entertainment. I've got a lot of kind of things in mind with it. There's a lot of things that I wanted to do last year that obviously I've got the opportunity to do. And hopefully over the next couple of months, I'll be able to kind of roll out things and do that. I'm enjoying gigging again, I think, because I've had the break. So I'm really enjoying kind of performing. So I want to try and do as much of that as I can, but not burn myself out. And get to a point where I don't enjoy it, and just kind of look after myself. I've got a couple of gym goals as well, like a couple of kind of fitness goals, and just have fun and just not let things that I cannot control get to me.
Amazing. And what way everything, if it's just been like the fact, here's a quick question I'll just add. With the amount of hard work that you've done over the last 10 years, do you think you would be where you are just now?
Well, I'd still wear my mum's spare bedroom, but no.
Apart from that.
I don't, no, I don't. Like, I honestly think that, it's been hard work. I've done a lot. I've got some great memories, but I've built a good reputation within the kind of local wedding market, especially. A lot of the suppliers know me, and a lot of suppliers recommend me. A lot of venues recommend me. And if I'd never done as much, I probably wouldn't be. So it's kind of paid off. And I think it's like anything. If you work hard enough, you achieve your dreams.
Definitely. Right, so just to finish off, what what would be the main everything? What would be the main advice that you give somebody at the moment? Just what to do yourself. What could you?
So there's a song that I like that is by a band called AFI called "I Hope You Suffer." Right. So the lyrics of the song are basically my understanding. I could be wrong. It could be another meaning, but what I understand from the song is he's went through a suffering time because of a woman, and he now hopes she suffers. Now, what I take away from that is you've went through it. On the other side of suffering, there is good times. So just enjoy it. Hey, it might be shit just now, but 6 months' time, who knows? Just get through it, deal with it, and don't let it get to you.
Definitely.
I impressed myself there. I got deep.
I know. Good advice. Right, so to finish off, I'm going to do a quick thing that I thought I'd do, just a lot of fun. So, I've got a few kind of questions. So, if you had a meal with three people, any three people, where would it be? Who would the three people be, and what would you eat?
Right, so this would change like based on what I'm feeling, what I'm into. Like I think it would change quite regular. So if you ask me in 6 weeks' time, I'd probably give you a different answer. But you've got to have the Rock, right? The Rock's got to be there. Big Dwayne, because he just seems like a cool guy. Like he's a wrestler. He works hard. Two things I like doing. Obviously I don't wrestle, but I like watching it. He's a great entertainer, which I hope I am. And he just seems like a cool guy. Like if you sat down with The Rock for a pint, you'd just come away and go, that was a good time. Like, and you've just sat and chatted. So The Rock, definitely. I always say some strongman is some kind because I'm really into strongman at the moment, whether it is So Jonas Zabiscus, Eddie Hall, Lauren Shelley, like just someone in strongman. Can I have that as an answer?
Yes, yeah, you could have that kind of, even if
And
it's
how many is it? 3?
aye.
Right. At the moment, you're going to laugh, but I'm going through a kind of Linkin Park phase, right? So I would really like to have a drink one day with Mike Shinoda for Linkin Park, because I don't know, there's something about that guy, and I can't work out what it is. And I hope that one day, Mike, if you're listening, I hope one day me and you can go to Box in Glasgow and have a drink, because I just think it'd be a good night. I don't know what it is. There's something about the guy. So what was the other questions?
I just quickly, I just thought of that. Would you bring Stephen the magician or Stephen the person?
Me, because I would like to meet Mike Shinoda. I would like to meet The Rock. I'd like to have a chat with a strong man. And I think, like, that this probably applies to a lot of people. The answer to this question is probably people you like from whatever interest you've got. So when I like a magician or a singer or a band, I like them. I don't like what they do. So The Rock, we'll go for Eddie Hall, because that's quite realistic. That could possibly happen. And Mike Shinoda from Linkin Park.
And what would you eat, and where would it be?
Right. You've got two big guys, right? The Rock and Eddie Hall, who eat thousands of calories a day. So we need a banquet, just like meat and just a big barbecue where it's just hundreds of meat and just hundreds of like rice and pasta. And this would no be just a 2-hour dinner. This would be like 3 days, and we'd eat constant. What's the other question?
Where would it be?
So I think these 3 guys have travelled a lot. I've not travelled a lot. So I don't want to ruin like their life by trying to find somewhere exotic that they've probably been. So we will go for the woods out my back door. We'd build a campfire and we'd camp out there, because they'll have never been. It'll be a different experience, and we'd have a good time. And it'd need to be a nice kind of weather. It can't rain, because The Rock lives in Florida where it Disney rain. And when it does, there's tornadoes. So it would be, we'd go camping like in a lodge somewhere really nice, I think. So we'd go a lodge somewhere in Scotland, really nice summer. We'd eat hunters for like 3 days. We'd have entertainment that I'd book. And then it'd be Eddie Hall, Mike Shinoda, and The Rock.
Sounds amazing.
It sounds really good. I'm going to book that.
Yeah, you have to. You need to let me know if you do. Well, Stephen, it's been a pleasure as always.
I'm glad you think that.
I do. Where can people find you?
They can find me at my address as they can find me on Facebook and Instagram. If you want to follow Impossible Entertainment, it is impossible.entertainment on Instagram. If you want to follow me on Instagram, it's Stephen Blair 1994, because there's a guy called Stephen Blair, and I wasn't creative enough to come up with another handle, so I put the year I was born, which was 1994. And you can find me on Facebook, Stephen Blair Magician. Just type into the search bar and you'll find it. Also type in Impossible Entertainment on Facebook. And you can just keep up to date. There's some cool things coming. So probably follow Impossible Entertainment, because that's the fun one.
Looking forward to it. Well, thank you very much again, Stephen. It's been an honour. thanks for managed to kind of put this in on your busy schedule.
Is this now the part of the show where the credits roll and we awkwardly wave like the ending of a 1990s chat show?
I think since this is the first episode, I think we should do it. So
Goodbye.
Goodbye. So thanks, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for next week. And thanks again. I've been Sean, and this has been Motivation to Change podcast. Take care, guys.
Credits roll. Wave.
Bye bye. Bye bye.